Naturalist. They are low-cost water monitoring kits, and they come with tablets and test tubes to do your testing. This test kit has lasted me a while, and I've even loaned it out to schools and to classrooms for them to use as well. So you can get quite a few uses out of it. You know, we talked a little bit about spending money in your classrooms with the resource money we give you. Typically, we ask that you don't buy consumables, things that can't be used by other teachers. This is one of the exceptions that we make because it can be used so many times, and we just make that a rule. So, this is a good. This is Lamott, L-A-M-O-T-T. Now, to make this a little kid-friendly, the way that I have divided it up in my set is that I've put the different tests in individual packets with the size test tube that you need, the tablets that you need, and it's labeled 1 tablet to 10 ml so that it's really easy for a class to use. The way that we'll do it today is I'll have you work in pairs and we'll choose a test to do. Does that make sense? Most of the tests will require one of these cards here that just helps you identify the level of whatever, the nitrate or the phosphate. It's a color matching card. So each group will need one of these so that you can indicate your results. These kits come with these books here, which have a lot of good information, but they're not necessarily useful to hand to a kid because it's a lot of stuff in there. So, one thing that I've done is I've copied it onto these pages so that the directions for each of the tests are here, as well as a document to record your data. You'll have to forgive me, I forgot to bring my dry erase markers, so you can't actually use these to record your data today, but if you would record that in your own workbook, that would be helpful. And we'll go from there for today. But you will want to grab one of these per group so that you know how to do the test. And they're laminated so they can get wet. Where near the water, that's going to happen, most likely. So, one of your goals will be to perform a test. And the rest of our time, we're going to spend looking at macroinvertebrates. So, those little boogers that are in there that are big enough to see with the naked eye. Of course. And to do that, I have a couple of things here for you. I have 3 of these so we can break up into teams of 3, or if someone wants to use a smaller container. The way that I would often do this with children is I would have them dip into the pond to get a container of water that they can then move a little bit away from the edge, and they can look for the critters that will be swimming in here. It's a good exercise in patience because what you'll actually find is that you can grab a bucket of water and kids will say, "There's nothing in here," and dump it out. But if you sit and wait just a few moments, you'll start to see things settle and you'll start to see some movement in here. And the types of things that you'll see are typically found on these charts here that I have that we can use for groups. This is a freshwater macroinvertebrate chart. This is one of my favorite ones because it's in color and it really nicely categorizes the different kind of macroorganisms that you might be able to find.
Where did you come up with that?
These, there's an email address on there, www.nwnature.net. These are designed for I've spoken to the guy who made them, and they're for the Northwest. They say in here Western Washington and Western Oregon. And I got them because I like how they were in color and they were really user-friendly. And I have experimented with them, and it's pretty close to some of the things that we find. So even though they say that it's Western Washington and Oregon, they're still applicable to what you're going to find today. So each group can take one of those to do your pond dipping. I also have these, which are cards about the different sorts of organisms that you might find. Has some parts of and differences between the common mayfly family, the different species that you might find in there. I also have these invertebrate keys, the dichotomous keys, that are kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure dichotomous key. You start with number 1, and it will direct you further and further till it might help you narrow down what you are seeing.
Where did you get those?
These are in the big teacher book or on your CD, so you should be able to just print those out. I also have these dichotomous keys, which are more of a chart with pictures as opposed to what we have there with words. One is river and one is pond. So I only have 2 of those. I can leave them here if you'd like to use them.
Are those on?
These are as well, yes. They're much smaller and you have to enlarge them.
Yeah.
Pond life, we've got these golden guides as well. We can use that. Once you have your water sample and you let it settle a little bit, I have a couple different tools. Becky, did you bring your other 2-way viewer? Okay. So we've got a couple 2-way viewers. Actually, I think they're called 4-way viewers. I can't remember. These are nifty little things that kids love. They can then take from their sample a scoop of pond water. Hopefully they've already noticed something that's swimming around in there. They can scoop it up. Put it on upside down, and when you turn it over, you can look through here, or you can look through the top to identify what you have swimming in there. So I've got 2 of those. Becky has a couple as well. I also have these smaller magnifying boxes. So you can scoop up something and it has a magnifier built into the lid. These are fairly inexpensive. They often go missing quite regularly, so it's good to have around and have lots of them. The one thing I'd caution about both of these magnifiers is warning kids that, if you put a little organism in here and then you're leaving it out, you're going to bake that little guy because it's magnifying the sun and making it a very hot environment in here. So teaching the kids that basic respect for living things, that we're using them as samples and we're not going to harm them, and do your observations, share it with your friends, but then you do want to return your creature back to the pond. I know you will all be very safe around the water with students. Obviously, you would go through a lot of water protocol and what is appropriate and inappropriate. Being that you're grown-ups, I'm going to trust that that's an understood. Please, nobody, get hurt. That's all. If you'd like to go swimming, your choice. Wouldn't be mine in this water, but whatever floats your boat. Any questions about our tasks ahead of us? Okay, so we're going to give you a good long time, maybe close to, I think we have close to an hour that we can give you. So I will give you a 30-minute warning to let you know when half your time is gone. So if you've been doing all the pond dipping, it would be a good time to start your water testing. And we'll meet back and we will share our data and try to gauge what we think the health of this water might be.
Kristen,
Becky, did you have something?
the workshop that I went to, they used ice trays, that you put in your freezer to make ice cubes, and they put little samples in each one of those and then used a hand lens.
Oh, that's a really nice way to do it too.
So I have a bunch of extra ice trays if anybody wants to.
Yes, Becky just had to replace the refrigerator, so she's overflowing in refrigeration extras. Okay, so some of these tests here, let's see, we've the dissolved oxygen. My bag is missing.